Y'all doing?
Peace.
Yeah, peace. This is entitled Matriarch versus Patriarch, Prelude to Religion versus Ra's Legion. My name is Teferu Azur. I also write for the Ghetto Times under the name Kamal Vudun. This particular lecture / article came about for several reasons. I keep hearing people talk about how we live in a matriarchy, you know, or it's a patriarchy, but it's got feminine values and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, then that's just a homosexuality. You know, that's not really a patriarchy. I mean, if it's acting effeminate and seeking out more men energy, that's why, you know, women can't do this and they keep wanting to have more men do stuff because they're homosexual, and we're going to get into the nature of the Caucasoid and all that stuff. But it also came about because I heard this one white woman sit there and say she wanted to live in a matriarchy where women rule. And I've always noticed that it's always about domination. You know, feminism, they talk about, well, matriarchy where women rule, domination. I'm just like, y'all are so fixated on domination. So I came around and I did this, and it's a prelude to something bigger called Religion versus Ra's Legion, which is a book I'm coming out with. And it's also encompasses something known as the Medusa complex, but we ain't gonna get into that today. All right, so it begins like this. And this is what I had to tell her in a bit of a conversation. It's time again to break down some words and bring things to their original understanding so we can all embrace a truth. And not exactly my truth, not your truth, but the actual truth. And far too often we think that there's nothing but opinions that are existing in this world. It's nothing but opinions. And I always use the example of 2 + 2 = 4. And you can come with somebody with that, and they'll sit there and be like, no, it's 5, because everybody can justify their opinion even if it's not the truth. 2 + 2 is 5 if you add 1 to it. And you say, no, 2 + 2 is 8 if you add 4 to it. Or 2 + 2 is, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, 4 is like, man, I'm the real answer. And that's how our world has been created today. We have so many opinions and so many people who can justify those opinions. And so when you come to the real truth and you go, no, 2 and 2 more, that's 4. Oh man, you taking it back to that old black stuff, and that ain't real, and that don't mean nothing because Master says it's 8. And so we no longer know or understand what truth really is, and we don't really believe that there is an actual one truth. And it's sad. So here we are, we're going to talk about the truth. We live too much in a Western, Eurocentric world. We glide through and apply unholy definitions to spiritual terms according to the twisted tongues of those who have no spiritual meaning themselves. Now, the discord of these definitions resonate in off-key society dancing off-rhythm or Ra's hymn. Now, that's what rhythm is. It's Ra's hymn. It's a sung song. Ra's hymn to the universal and harmonious tones formed through the geometric patterns of sounds that the Neter Tehuti named letters, or the collective art of letters that we call words. So we're going to first start off with words. Even look at the word opinion. Op, oppose, ion, the sun. The sun is the ultimate truth. So if you have an opinion, you are opposing a truth. That's why I can't stand about that. And how brother was just talking in the car about etymology. We have to study these etymologies, the origin of words, because it leads back to us and our original intent for it. Now the Neter Tehuti, or Thoth, and Neter is just another word for nature. It's the origin of the word nature. Tehuti is the origin of the word thought itself. So the nature of thought, or the Neter Tehuti, was the first to observe the infinity of sound. He compiled these sounds as letters and isolated them until he knew the number of them. The vibration and sound of words move with the rhythm of the heart. A single word can produce harmonious enlightenment when its rhythm is expressed in perfect sync with the heart's beat. That's why you can go to a concert and you can be like, yo, they singing so well because it's in sync. You know, that's why they call it soul music, and, you know, R&B, that's the heart, that's the music you make love to and stuff like that. And if you go to an open mic poetry joint, you know, you hear somebody lay down a verse, you'd be like, I don't know what he said, but it was in perfect sync with my heart. Love it. A single word can produce harmonious enlightenment when its rhythm is expressed in perfect sync with the heart's beat. These are the chants and incantations we hear so much about as spells. You know, magicians, they do spells. Even the word spell itself is applied as the correct vibrational pattern of sounds or written script placed together to form a word or many words. That's why they call it spells. A magician breathes in his magic. It's a spell. But the word's rhythm first begins with the thought, derived from Tahuti's other title, thought or thoth, T-H-O-T. And the interesting interesting thing about the word thought, T-H-O-T, now it's T-H-O-U-G-H-T, because my folks is crazy and just add all sorts of stuff to it. But the interesting word about the simplicity of the word thought, T-H-O-T, when you spell it, you are saying Tahuti, which is the original name. So T-H-O-T is Tahuti. You understand that? T-H-O-T, Tahuti, because that's how we thought. The first form and resonance of a word derives from the mind. Now get this. The first form and resonance of a word derives from the mind. So if the thought and or definition of the word resonates off-key in your mind, the vibration or tonality of the word spoken will produce the same ill effect and discord. But if spoken in true rhythm, you can create an ill effect. Now that's just some nasty gymnastic, hip-hop, double meaning, reverse triple axle wordplay for y'all. Because you understand, is if you think wrong, you can create an ill effect. If you think correctly, you gonna create an ill effect. And that's what we as black people can do with words. Black people are the only, that's alchemy, that's divine blackness, divine, elevated, chemi, blackness. We are the only people who can do that. We're the only people who can take any word from any language and make it something good. We have the might of touch with anything. That's why we took the word bad and made it good. Yo, that's bad, yo. We took nigger and brought it to nigger, you know, and it resonates something because it's close to the word nagas, which means masters, the ancient black Dravidians in India. So we're the only people who can add the alchemy to word because we are the ones who are spirit, and spirit means breath. We're the ones who breathe the, you know, Dr. Phil, and I'm talking about Elder Valentine, not Oprah's boyfriend. Dr. Phil is always talking about the original intent, and we're the ones who breathe the original intent. But it's like comedian George Carlin said, we do think in language. So if the quality of our thoughts can only be measured by the quality of our language, and this was during a comedic rant about how the government tries to control your mind by trying to control your language, or vice versa. Y'all heard of George Carlin, right? Yeah, he gets props because he breaks down the Caucasoid blue-eyed element that tries to control the world. Because in some of his stand-up routines, it's obvious he has read Michael Bradley, and with his bigger dick theory, he has definitely read the ISIS papers by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. So apparently he's a white man trying to get into heaven. So we're going to see what we can do. However, this brings us to two words that have been westernized wholly. The two words are matriarch and patriarch. They have themselves been reduced to a Western theme of chauvinism, patriarch, and feminism, matriarch, in their extreme states. They have also been wrongfully paraded around by both the righteous and pretentious alike as a father state or mother state. And the problem with these definitions is that they create an ego-centered fixation that does not express the harmony of the two words unity. So that's one thing, and we're going to get into why. White folks don't know anything about unity. They don't. All they think of is just one category to another. They do not understand how two things come together. And how could a state of man and a state of woman, how could they exist alone? They'd have to come together in order to create life. That's why they say, well, God in the Bible must be a homosexual because I mean, he's genderless and he has no woman on his other side. Well, that's probably why he's angry. Somebody killed his woman, turned her into a Holy Ghost. That's why he's killing people left and right in the Bible. God wants some ass. Wouldn't you? Hey, come on now. Come on now. You get a little angry, you can't create right. So these words stem from the ancient neteru, mayat, and ta, sometimes pronounced pata. In review, mayat is the neter or nature or philosophy or goddess of harmony and balance, as pata or ta is the great architect. He is a universal builder. In their true presentation, matriarch is known as matriarch, and patriarch is known as tatriarch or patatriarch, which expresses the words articulate a state of balance and building in their original tones. If you get the book Introduction to the Nature of Nature by Afro Uunu, he talks about how the black race first referred to themselves as the Patacanoid race and also the Myakanoid race, which meant that we were the race of builders, obviously, because we're the ones who were building everything, and we were the ones in perfect harmony with Mother Nature. We knew how to build without completely taking up the earth's resources. We were respectful. These white folks just got into recycling. And it's weird when you see white people trying to be good. It's weird because it's just like, you know they're working so hard at it. And two, it's just, man, it should be common sense to just, and common sense, you break down common, calm on, which is the black sense, the black sun sense. And not everybody got a black sun sense, so common sense isn't common to everybody the way people think it is. But it's common sense to treat Mother Nature, to treat anything with respect, but they don't know how to do that. In ancient times, societies could not exist separately in a complete matriarch or patriarchal state. As you can see now, we live in a dressed-up patriarchy with gay tendencies, and somebody trying to coexist in one body with both, and it's all going to hell. The two were as one. In fact, in the hieroglyph for the letter Ta, the great architect and builder, he sits enthroned or stands upon a pedestal in the form or the glyph from Ma'at. You can find this in the book Egyptian Harmony, the Visual Music by Mustafa Gadala, page 79. And that book is beautiful because he talks about all the math that we get. And he talks about, as much as we have this knowledge from the ancient papyruses that are held in European libraries, they still don't understand, like, supreme mathematics. They still don't understand what numbers actually mean. And although this is a different book, here's the actual picture. If you can get a close-up on this. That's the picture of Ta, and that is the glyph from Ma'at right here. This little thing right here. You got that?
Got it.
Yeah. So you can see how he stands upon Ma'at. You can see how he is in harmony with it. That is a representation of the harmony of the two philosophies. But they don't understand that. We're gonna get into why. I'm sorry, did I take it way too early?
No, bro.
That's cool. In the same book, Egyptian Harmony, Mustafa Gadala speaks about how the ancient Kamites would always build upon ancient temples, continuously adding on in a harmonious chord and style to temples already erected. However, balance did not just exist in the addition of architecture, but also in its subtraction, which was actually recycling. So we didn't take away. I mean, we understood negativity, but we didn't understand, or I shouldn't say we didn't understand. We didn't focus on taking away, taking lives, taking this, taking that, and that's what this beast is all about at this moment. The ancient blacks abroad knew about how to expand without using too much of the earth's natural resources, like I said. The ancient blacks had an understanding of how to create new buildings or to expand by using the elements of old buildings. The same thing as concepts. This was the balance of adding and recycling, not negative subtraction. Our ancestors were constantly adding on, constantly reworking. This was also in the case of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and spiritual development. The two aspects of matriarch, Matriarch, and patriarch, Patriarch, conveyed through the symbol of a winged black woman, Ma'at, and the stern portrait of a black man, Ta, like you just saw, is where we get the literalization that the two words mean womanhood and manhood. Now, this is sort of true because a woman does add the balance and the father provides the building blocks to the family, but this has nothing to do with domination. It is all about a role you play. The domination aspect comes from the inferiority complex, and I can't stress enough. Inferiority complex of the Western mind, be it the white woman or the white man. The joining of the matriarch and patriarchal philosophies was symbolized through the zodiac Gemini. In the original Afro-Kamal Gemini, Gemini was represented as a pair of lovers, a black woman and a black man. They are embraced in sexual intercourse. In fact, the word Gemini and Gami, as in monogamy and polygamy, means to join in holy matrimony or matrimony, balance. The union was severed by the egocentric mind of the Western man. He made the zodiac symbol homosexual. Suddenly, as it entered Greece, it became a pair of male counterparts, supposedly twins, but we know what those the Greeks were doing with each other. And they say that, well, they're supposed to be twins. No, they're not. There's more of that homosexuality going on. The feminine aspect of unity was taken from its masculine and natural counterpart, and the overly aggressive Western man had to double his source of power and dominion by tacking on another male physiognomy. So he had to, okay, I'm more of a man now because I got two men to represent me. And plus he also had to engage in the intercourse act, the ritualistic act of sex with the man to make himself feel, you must be out your mind. You must be crazy. You want me to keep going?
Keep going.
This was the beginning of the Caucasoid man's quest to add on an attempt to make up for a loss of being outside of nature's scheme. The Caucasoid man being the outwardly aggressive one. I can't stress that enough. Outwardly aggressive one between he and the Caucasoid woman sought to create society based upon an illusionary foundation of power and consumption. This was a move to build upon a void to fill a void. And you can't build on a void. A void is emptiness. So you try to build upon a void like this, then your stuff just going to fall apart. Like all the papers just fell everywhere. And this is exactly what he's doing. This is what his society is made up of. It's trying to fill a void, whether it be with information, whether it be with materialistic values. Everything is to fill this void that he doesn't have. You know? This is where we get the inferiority complex to build something, making it larger to try and make up for a lacking. Mostly takes a physical form because the Caucasoid mind is extremely materialistic. We can see this as someone with low self-esteem becoming a bodybuilder. Enlarging the body to express a prowess that is only there to make up for a lacking in some other facet of their life. And we can look at the Gemini symbol going from a man and a woman to going to two men as his first act to initiate a bodybuilding sense. Like I said, he's more of a man now because I got two men representing me. But he doesn't have that one thing which we have, which is the color and the hue. We already got that. Because we are nature, we are all natural, no preservatives and additives, we just preserve and add on. The symbol of Gemini as homosexual also builds upon European secret societies engaging in homosexual acts to prove manhood. In Greece, like we just said, men were judged by the number of boys they had. That's just sick. And what's your boy's name who does that song where he talks about gymnasium is Raz Kaz. Wow. Gymnasium is the Greek word for naked, because that's where they taught adolescent boys. And there's more gym teachers being arrested. My high school track coach, no, he didn't touch me. He just got arrested for doing some stuff. Ooh. That's why you get those butch ladies teaching gym. That's where it goes on. So even during slavery, black men were raped. And that was a ritual. It was a ritual. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay the horror our queens went through, because they went through some stuff. But black men were raped ritualistically so that they could absorb the essence and the prowess and the strength of the black man. And it carried over into today's prisons, because I forget where I heard it, but it was the guards that started raping the inmates. And then it came into just the inmates raping each other. And then everybody's raping each other. It's just crazy. The Ku Klux Klan also did this, because we got to remember that the Ku Klux Klan are Masons. And when they were hanging black men, that was a ritual. And cutting off the penis and shooting the body 13 times, that was a ritual and a reenactment of Osar being cut up and destroyed by Set. And they would shoot, each of the Grand Masons in the Klan would shoot the body 13 times. That's why some bodies were shot over like hundreds of times. And each of them would shoot it 13 times, and the actual 14th piece, the phallus, was severed. And that's just disgusting. That's how they praise God. I mean, because when you get to the 33rd degree, you know what they learn. And that's how they praise God. Praise the Lord. The black penis always looked upon as larger than the white penis, so that's why they said that they put them in jars, and then they would give them to their daughters, or just worshiping themselves in their lodges. And if you get a Mu Atlantis, your boy, he comes out with those what do you call them? Little magazines. He shows inside a Ku Klux Klan lodge how they call themselves Arabic names. That's just crazy, and how they refer to each other. In this one book I have, Blacked Out Through Whitewash, it shows the Moors of Seville, and they do that little reenactment of the Moors of Seville, and they wear what the Klansmen wear. And Dr. Epps, she says, well, I wonder if the Klan found that out, what would they say? And the weird thing is they know that. This is the thing that boggles my mind. Everything that we think that we're finding out about black man and God, they already know this. It has their aggression against us has nothing to do with the ignorance of who we are. And that's crazy to me. But the black penis being larger than the white penis, not just in physicality, but it's also to the genetics we hold. Our melanin is more dominant. We carry the melanated seed inside us. We have a saying that men with small penises drive large cars, or men who lack an adequate sex drive make up for it with a fancy sports car that expresses a smooth, fast, satisfying ride. This leads into the greedy consumption of materialistic wealth that we have all bought into, as well as the destructive consumption of the planet's resources. The Caucasoid man and Caucasoid woman have built upon an unstable foundation which is really a void, and that has put a strain on all of the Earth's natural resources, including its indigenous black population and other people of color as well. This has mutated into a monster named chauvinism. More means more. People are weighed not by the heart as overseen by Maat, which was spiritually killed. That's why she's a Holy Ghost now, or the woman is a Holy Ghost. But by the size of their materialistic wealth and sometimes physical forms. White women get breast enhancements. White women get tucks and nips. Tightening their body, they inject collagen into their lips, into their thighs and buttocks to get more voluptuous features. Makeup is used to actually make up for the lack of color they have. And I think it's Phil who talks about when our ancestors used makeup, it was for what? Environmental protection, he says? Yeah. So, because, I mean, we already have the color, we already beautiful. Even clothes are designed to enhance the small features of white women, push-up bras and bustles. I had a friend in college. She was getting into fashion. And she was talking about all her ideas couldn't be used. And that's why she gave up on it, because you actually have to make the jeans and the dresses all to fit a white woman. You can't do it for, you can't come up with anything. You have to, and now they have certain paddings in there, and she was telling me all the secrets. In fact, there's a VH1 special that talks about that. And it admits this. And it says it's for white women. It is to enhance their buttocks, like they have the push-up bras. And the bustles were what, back in the Victorian age, and they were designed to imitate the Hottentot women. Right. Man, it gets crazy, it gets crazy. Because most black women are very comfortable with their bodies, but that doesn't mean we can't fall for the trick. Little Kim, she's an excellent example of our own grafting. Michael Jackson, I hate to say. No, I'm not saying it as in reference to a white woman, which people joke to say that that's what he's become. But people always say, well, why did they get on Mike's case and this black person's case about doing this stuff, and they don't get on white people's case? Well, personally, this is my theory. Unconsciously, we know, I don't care whether you believe in Yaku or the de-evolution of man, white people, and even their scientists state, white people were created through disunification, splicing and dicing of cells, the loss of certain things, that they no longer have the hue, they no longer have certain things that we still have. In this paper that I was reading last night, White Cat wrote it, and he was talking about all the, not only the physical, but the spiritual aspects of the black man over the Caucasian and the other race, he said, Mongolian. And I was just like, wow. It's called the Astrida theory. You can find it online, download it, and read it. It's weird. I haven't been able to look through it, and there's some things I don't agree with, but still, I mean, that's us. We already have that. But we sit there and say, we get on Mike's case because we know Mike. There's nothing wrong about you, you know. But Mike thinks that, you know, his family teasing him about his nose, and you know, and we got on each other's case for being too light, too dark, and we don't understand who we are as being perfect, you know. I was telling same sister, I was telling her, and she went natural. with her hair, and she said, "Oh, I don't wear my hair straight to look white. I do it because it's easier to manage." And I'm like, easier to manage? I'm like, your natural hair doesn't need management. I'm like, your natural hair does not need management. You know, it's already perfect. And then she went natural, figured it out, and she stayed that way. Because we already who we are. There are even penis enlargements for men. And this is the craziness. Their whole society is based after the continuous surgical reinvention of themselves. They're continuously trying to graft themselves, graft history, graft time, back into an original thing that's already walking the earth. And it's like we were saying earlier, you know, they're trying to find themselves within the origin of things, and they keep running into us. You know, it's just like it's like being a blocker on a football team. Like, nah, we here too. No, we here too, and that's what it is, and it's crazy. We also have the rich rolling out their giganticism of their wealth in large houses, cars, clothes, entourages. Remember the terrible remake of Godzilla in 1998? Oh, yeah. Remember its slogan, size does matter? Mm-hmm. Look at it, 98, born to build, you know, or destroy. That's crazy. But its slogan backfired because, like, you know, Jedi Master Yoda said, size matters not. And you know, you take the A off of Yoda, you got Yod, which is the black dot, the Doth. And we just had Joe Millionaire, which was a way to show that materialistic wealth doesn't mean a damn thing, and no matter how good the white man looks, he ain't worth shit. Men want to prove their virility by just going into too many unspiritual things. And ironically, the words material, matter, and mother all stem from Mayat Ra. Or mother, Mayat Ra, Mayat Ra. So they're still trying to have balance, but they're trying to take on, this man is trying to take on the qualities of a woman. And thus you get homosexuality. And we know women can be heavy consumers, very materialistic.
1 minute.
Paused.
Cool.
Twisted. Oh. But this is a twisted Western mindset that has turned Mayat's materials, her 7 laws, order, balance, and harmony into physical trinkets rather than symbolic ornaments and amulets. Jewelry has gone from the shape of sacred symbols like the Ankh, along with the understanding of the precious stone or crystal, and the sacred robe, into meaningless bling-bling and ice in a cold-hearted world built on fashion and fads. The white woman contributed to her husband's ways by maintaining a holistic, well, not really holistic, feminine society, void of masculine unity. It started on the island of Lesbos, and it continues here in America. This is where we get the term lesbian. And the messed up thing is that we got to be careful, because now they're saying that all this stuff is quote-unquote urban legends. Like there was no such thing as, now they're saying there's no such thing as the island of Lesbos. They're trying to erase all of their history and try to cover up their stuff. There's a website online, I forget what it's called, but it talks about urban legends, and one section they have is race. They talk about Elvis wasn't really a racist. They talk about certain things didn't mean, like the buck didn't mean the black man. It was about buckskins, and they got it from the indigenous, the Native American.
So they're trying to negate.
Yeah, they're trying to. But I emailed them and I said, but you have to understand that black people were thought of as animals, so they became referred to as buck. And I said, black people who teach that don't sit there and say it originated there. They go in through the whole thing. So you're trying to skew stuff. I didn't get a response. That's just like the Skeptics Dictionary. Have you ever skepticsdictionary.com. You go online, they talk about magic melanin and all these Afrocentric people. And I emailed them all this stuff about melanin. And they said, this is garbage. I don't know where you got that. Then I sent them the link, and that's that one white scientist who goes to the melanin conference. Didn't hear from them again. So it's just like, shut up. Your own cats is saying the same thing, and y'all just stupid. But lesbian. Lesbians in this feminine society created on the island of Lesbos was the misinterpretation of the African women who had their own secret societies and practices, but these ancient black women would always long for their masculine counterparts' black touch. White women just continued to build upon a void or loss or lack. The feminist movement grew out of the need for the white woman to own anything, something, to dominate instead of harmonizing and maintaining balance. It's funny how feminism is based upon this Western homosexuality that we're talking about today. Not really patriarchy, not really matriarchy. It's just this, we want to look like women but be a man. And the men are, we want to look like men but be women. And they gone crazy. But their entire drive is all about filling not just the void and the loss of power, but they want the power, they want control, and they want some sort of self-esteem. It has nothing to do with reclamation. Feminism has nothing to do with reclamation. Even George Carlin talks about that. He said, what's the alternative to what you're trying to do? Put on a man-tailored suit and imitate all the destructive ways of man, and to join in on the power rape of Mother Earth? And they have nothing to do with reclamation, their whole movement, and this is because it originated with white women, and they have nothing to reclaim because nothing was ever stolen from white women. And sure, they got beat down too, but I mean, it's not like they got something taken from them. We have something taken from us, and we can easily reclaim it like that. That's the messed up thing. We can easily take it back. They are only trying to join in the power rape of Mother Earth and her natural resources, and it's sad to say, I gotta say it, but most movements, including some black movements, are built upon the foundation for control and power. See, sometimes we fight for the right to act white, and instead of the reclamation of who we are as an ancestral people. That's because, you know, a lot of times you have people that change it into class, so you have a lot of people, you know those cats like Francis Fanon. And he wrote some cool books, but and people are like, what? He was married to a white woman? And it's just like, well, it wasn't really about race, it was about class. You know, after a while, he turned it to class, and there's a lot of cats who are like that. There's a great article in Frontline that exposes a lot of cats who are like that, because it's about class and not ancestral reclamation. True reparations would only come if white people gave the earth back to the original people. That's it. And if you want to start with reclamations, because it's not going to come through a dollar bill, because what are we going to do with the dollar bill? Give it right back. So they would make a killing off of giving black people reparations in the form of dollar bills. But if you want to do anything with the dollar bill, this is what you can do with reparations. Get our ancestral monument the fuck off of the back of the dollar bill, you bastards. Because that is the most disrespectful shit on the planet. They got the pyramid that's not even complete and the all-seeing eye. And then you got idiots who are like, whoa, it's satanic. And you just want to stab somebody. Sometimes, don't you wish you had, remember Darth Vader? When that guy was getting on his case in Star Wars and he just choked him like, shut the fuck up. Oh, I wish I had, if I had those powers, I'd be in jail right now. Because I've killed a lot of people. That or Wolverine's claws. Because there's a lot of people, no, you can't find the murder weapon. but that's what it truly is. If we were given back to Earth and given the ability to reclaim our knowledge, we could heal this planet in 5 seconds. In fact, I always said, and I was talking to Dr. Epps, who wrote Blacked Out Through Whitewash, and I said, you know what? If they're not going to give equal funding to what we call black schools, or that have predominantly black populations, because it's always a white school, because you're always going to be taught their curriculum, because no matter where you grew up, you went to a white school. But I said, take the money you do have and go get Blacked Out Through Whitewash. Go get Phil Valentine's tapes. Go get Bobby Hemmitt's tapes. Go get the books that you need to study. She said that actually did happen. You know what happened? They came in with guns. They came in with guns and shut the whole school down because they took the money they were getting and they were going to black bookstores and buying books like this. And They shut the whole school down. 2 schools, actually, she was telling me, out in California. I was like, wow. So, but I mean, that's what was happening when you have stuff like the Tulsa bombing. You know, black people prosper. I mean, it's like we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. You know, but when we start prospering, I mean, the government, we're issuing guns to citizens to go in and destroy towns. That's the sickest thing. And then there's something called I think it's the St. Louis incident. It's so messed up the government will not talk about it, what they did to the black people. And I'm still trying to find information on it.
Picture of the guy throwing a brick at a black man laying on the ground. It's the only thing I found from it.
Oh, really? So you do know of
After World War I or something like that. Big riot.
It's crazy.
As a matter of fact, I was after Jack Johnson beat that white dude. Molly talked about it on the tape.
Oh, okay. Because I also, me and my study partner, we kind of found out that you had people like Drusilla Dungy Houston, and she's coming out in 1927 talking about there was black kingdoms here in America. She was killing. She had something that was like the ghetto times, her and her husband, and they tried to shut her down. But we noticed there was some sort of connection between her and some other cats all throughout the 30s. Even Honorable, almost said Elijah Muhammad, but I meant Noble Drew Ali. Excuse me, and definitely Marcus Garvey. And it seemed like there was a connection that we don't even know about and is being kept from us to show how we did have unity. And the problem with a lot of people when it comes to segregation, you should at least stop thinking like cats. But a lot of older cats, they associate segregation with the violence that went on and just say segregation was bad. You know, and they never sit there and think that, nah, getting the shit knocked out of you was the bad part, but you were doing for self. You know, like the history of, The Secret History, or The Hidden History of New York? Is that book? I mean, man, it's ridiculous. It's completely and utterly ridiculous, and we have to, the movement, our black power movements need to be about reclamation and stop being scared that the Bible says you're going to go to hell when you decode the thing. It's just our hidden stuff of what we had, you know, but we had to start using parables and stuff to explain things because they was killing niggas for knowing that. And they killing us now, too. But it's crazy. But yeah, reparations won't come from an illusionary dollar. And in the movement of reclamation, matriarch and patriarchal societies come into harmony and perfect union. Without this true understanding, we lead ourselves down the path of 33 1/3 degrees of tricknology instead of the 360 degrees of true knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It's called know thyself, not rule shit with destructive force. Now, in the book Yaku and the Origins of White Supremacy by Dorothy Blake Fardon, excuse me, she's a white woman who breaks down Yaku and how white folks is crazy. She explains in the chapter about white women how the feminist movement was started by white women backed by their Masonic rich white husbands. Anybody ever read that book? Wow. It's a crazy book because she was white, and I guess she was going with this brother who was in the nation. But I mean, she took in the knowledge, and she's working with it. And when she got to the chapter on white women, I thought she was going to be like, we were abused too, we were hurt. But she was like, look, there's only 3 white women I trust. That's me, myself, and I look at them bitches shifty-eyed. So I was like, all right, cool. And she really breaks it down about feminism and how it was started. And my own research has concluded that they were inducted into the Order of the Eastern Stars and the white version. And their understanding of the story of Alset is extremely twisted. Because I had this one sister explain it to me. Alset remembered Alsar. Even though his phallus was swallowed by a fish, that black woman built one out of the natural elements of the earth, fire, water, and air. But white feminists interpret this as building the penis for the woman. And that's crazy. That's why, you know, Phil talks about, they say their secret motto is to own and control the dick. Well, that's where it comes from. And they were allowed to conduct their meetings because their Masonic husbands, you know, gave it the okay. You know, because a lot of places, no, we don't want no women here. And then, you know, but Their husbands were like, no, what they're trying to do is crazy. You got to let them in. That's why, like I said, their motto is to own or control the dick. But Alset, that beautiful woman of antiquity, that all black woman must become again, built the phallus for her black man's completion. It was not for Alset to own or to wear or to attach to her anatomy, becoming a man herself. It was to be and come with her black man. That's some more wordplay for y'all. Dorothy Fordon also exposes how feminists first, this is what's crazy, the feminists' first objective was to tear the black woman away from the black man. They were allowed to piggyback off of the civil rights movement, but they were trying to infiltrate it to get into the minds of black women and tear them away from the black man. That is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So I always tell sisters to stop falling for the trick. Just turn back to your natural way and self. The first rule in know thyself, knowledge of self, is that you are a goddess. That's rule one. There's not even a test to take. You black, you win. And there's no trickery behind it. There's no how to trick a man into believing one thing or another. You see all these cosmopolitan magazines of how to trick your man into making Tex-Mex. Trick me? How's about asking me? You know, trick me into doing something. Why don't you ask me to do something? Jeez, come on now. But that's the false equation for it. So rule one, you're a goddess, a queen of creation, the original womb, the universal black body. And rule two is don't forget rule one. Rule three, follow the laws of Ma'at and Ptah to build harmony and unity among your natural polarity. Your natural polarity is your natural opposite, which is the black man. And I know I'm using terms like Ma'at and Ta and, you know, Kemetic terms, but we as black people, our advantage and is our disadvantage. The advantage is we created everything, so we got to study everything. That's the disadvantage. We got to study everything and see how it all relates, because it's all the same stuff over and over and over again. And we got to learn this stuff all over again to continue. Can you imagine that? We're not being allowed to create. Like they say, they're standing on the shoulder of giants, and the giant is in the hole. You know, so it's just like we got white cats standing here thinking that they're the same height. If we're allowed to stand up in any field, boom, we take them out. So the same applies to us as black men. We are gods, kings of creation, so on and etc. But licenses can be revoked, but just as easily renewed, or rather renewed, N-U-D-E. We need to take off some of this bullshit clothing that we wear as we dress up in false terms and words that are void of their original spiritual intent. We need to know the harmony and original union of the black man and black woman instead of having these petty wars vying for power. Ta and Ma'at, like I showed you earlier, stand in unison, not opposition. That's like in the Matrix, a word that means mother or comforter, Ma'at, Ma'at. You had the architect, they turned him into a white man, Ta, and he scoffs at the oracle being the mother. That just shows his homosexuality. They're not in opposition to each other, they're supposed to be in unity. And he's, you mean, you know, when Neo's like, you mean the oracle? He just scoffs at her, because he's gay. He doesn't want a woman, he's gay, he wants Neo. But we know, and the problem with some of our relationships as black men and black women, we know the other is a god and goddess, a king or queen, and we want to be treated like that, but we can't think like that. We can't sit there and be like, I'm a king, treat me like a king. Or, you know, a woman be like, I'm a queen, treat me like a queen. We got to think of ourselves as rebels against the evil empire. We got to reclaim our thrones. We can't sit there and be like, yeah, I know you a queen, but right now, we got to battle this beast to get our thrones back. And Alset did that. She didn't sit there and be like, well, I'm a queen, I'm just going to stand like this. No, she disguised herself as a nurse. She went, you know, became humble. She did everything, but she knew who she was and she knew her objective. And her objective was to get her man back when after Set sent him down the river. And once she got him back, Set cut him up into 14 pieces. And everybody went to Alset and said, oh, queen, 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 they cut up your man and he threw him to the wind. Alset looked at him and said, you better get your shoes on, because we're going to find him. And that's what she did. She remembered. But right now, like I said, we're rebels against the evil empire, and we got to join together to claim our rightful thrones and sit on the thrones with the crown of true knowledge. Now, this is part 2, called the metaphysically speaking. So I'm going to break down some metaphysics. You want to pause for a moment?
We'll be right back.
All right, now, metaphysically speaking, the origin of the separating of Ma'at from Ta, or man from woman, basically comes from how white people were spawned. Like I said, whether you believe in Yaku or the theory of de-evolution, for there has never really been an evolution of the race, white people's nature to separate comes from their origin of being separated themselves. They are the manifestation of the splicing of cells and genetics. With the loss of melanin, the corporal element giving all life soul, rhythm, harmony, nature, white people were separated from the natural states of being. Their intentions to continuously separate all persons, places, and things into discord come from their loss of being a natural element or being separated from nature itself. Since black people were spawned from the unity of elements and the spirit, black people's nature is always to unite, unfortunately sometimes with the same people trying to kill us. And you can even go back to the Greeks, as we constantly, you got to, because that was the first, how we say this, I don't want to call them conscious, civilized nation of white folks. Because if you, me and this one Asian cat were ciphering on this, you look at their stories, they talk about how the gods hated them, how the gods, it was like the gods played chess with them. But when you realize the gods were just nature, you realize they were saying nature is against us. And when you realize, and when they talk about in Homer's Odyssey, how Zeus and the rest of the gods like to hang in Ethiopia because they felt amongst their equals, they were saying nature favors these people because these people are natural. These people came from the stars and everything around us is there. So you can go back and they tell on themselves. And you can see how they looked at nature. The first wars with them wasn't about the consumption of nature, but ultimately it's destruction. Like, if I can't have it, nobody can. These people are crazy. So we are, black people, we are the true united elemental states of universal law. In ancient stories about the unnatural creation of the white race, there is always the element of separation. Yaku separated the 24 scientists, taking with him 12 scientists that knew of the creation of a physical body, but leaving the 12 scientists who knew how to create spirit and soul for the body to function. He separated genes and continued to dilute the black germ until it was white. The taking of the scientists is expressed as Jacob in the Bible wrestling with the angel for the name Israel, Isis, Ra-El, and creating 12 tribes. Also consult the book Yaku, the Father of Mankind, the collective essays on Yaku by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also says that the number representing Yaku, the scientists, and their creation was 6. 6 multiplied by 12 is 72. This is in relation to Set's 72 conspirators that helped him overthrow Osar and Al-Set's kingdom. This is also in relation to the Israelite and or Hebrew theme of 72 names of God, sometimes 78, counting Yaku as the 1 plus the 12, which is 13. 13 times 6 is 78. But that is the invocation of only half of God's might, which is just the physical body, not the spirit. In sacred teachings of Melchizedek, what is unknown is that Melchizedek has been reversed from black power absorber or embracer to Set or Yaku, which is the black power ensnarer. For it was he that was the black Mel power chi that created mankind to ensnare the original people. Gerald Macy writes about that. Set or Sut also appears in quoting from him. Sut or Set also appears in the person of Melchizedek. Sut was cast out of Egypt together with his worshippers as the unclean. He retained the good character for a while in Israel, but was of an unclean origin and by degrees became the adversary. Now that quote is from Gerald Macy, but can be found in the book Blacked Out Through Whitewash, page 351, written by Dr. Suzar Epps. And like I said, didn't Jacob or Yaku wrestle with an angel for the name of Israel? Was he not ousted from lands of color, black lands? Set was the same, as he created the diabolical hordes, or conspirators to overthrow the original rulers of the land. Melchizedek truly means to embrace the black power, but we can see how it has been reversed and bastardized by the children of Set. Set on, setting sun, Satan, which is what whites were referred to in Kemet, the children of Set. And furthermore, 6 multiplied by the true 24 scientists is 144, which is the magical number of the collective saved, 144,000. The symbolism of Asar being split from Al-Set is the body being split from the soul or spirit. In another lecture I talk about Asar being the melanin molecule. This is the creation of discord, disunity. It also aligns with the canine and feline factors and aspects of black people. See, we are aligned with the dog star Sirius and Sirius B, the Dogon or the dog star people of Africa, Dogon people of Africa. Keep the sacred teachings of this blessed star, which is, as they say, heaven above. Got it?
Heaven above.
Heaven above. But as Moors, the word Moor means cat head, as well as black and love. As the Kamur or Kamau, black cat, we are the guardians of God. Truthfully, it was the Kamau, the black cat, that guarded God. And if anyone crossed the Kamau with ill intentions towards God, the Kamau or the black cat would pounce on the intruder. This is where you get the saying, if a black cat crosses your path, it is bad luck. But it's only if you have ill intentions towards God. If black people see a black cat, that means you being God, you're protected. You see a black cat cross your path, you just say peace, because you are now protected. But like I said, it's only if you have ill intentions towards God, and white folks have had ill intentions towards black gods for the last 6,000 to 7,000 years, so you know they are always afraid of black cats, or, like in the 60s, Black Panthers. Later, the Kamau became known as the Holy Cat, or the Holistic Cat, which then became Cat Holistic, and then became the name Catholic, which means universal, as they say, but the universe is a black body. And now look who guards God, a white cat. And you better believe the Vatican holds, they have so much information, they don't even know what they got. And it's crazy. And if you even try, look at what Lauryn Hill just did. If you try to cross them, they're now the guardians of God, they will try to kill you for it. And like we were saying earlier on the phone, when she's just, they used her in a ritual, got her energy, got her to say that, now they're just going to sacrifice her. Man, they're crazy. The splitting of the canine factor with the feline factor is the advantage. Reduced to the feline factor, we are now just dogs. That's why we went from calling each other cats to dogs. Hey, what's up, dog? What's going on, dog? The reverse of God, anyways, is dog. We are no longer balanced out, and dogs are easier to train than cats. White people say dogs are smarter than cats because they can be trained, but truthfully, the cat is smarter because it knows better not to be a slave. So black people have been reduced of their Kamau or Moorish cat factor. And that's also played out in the character of Wolverine. If you get his origin, his name was John, and he comes from royalty, or American royalty, you know. His name was John. And he took on the name of, he took on the look of the people who killed his entire family. You know how he's got that rugged look? Well, and he took on the killer of his family's name, Logan. So, I mean, you can see what's sort of playing out. He's taken on the name of the people who killed his culture and the look of them. And the little boy, or the man's little son, the man who killed his family, his son's name was simply Dog, and he was this savage thing. And his father kept training him to do stuff. That's why he called him Dog. And then Wolverine took on that personality, and what happened? He got taken in by the government, Adam. It brought him down to the physical level, and he's now easily trained by the government. They took away his memory of who he was, and he doesn't even know that he's that old. He doesn't know the glory where he comes from. And now he's slowly getting that cat factor back, that independence. That's why, you know, Wolverine, you read comics, Wolverine is like, he's the one that just goes off on his own. He doesn't want to be bothered because he wants to find out who he is. And we have to get that Moorish cat factor back so that we can figure out who we are and continue. So black people have been reduced to their Kamau or Moorish cat factor that would free us. Once again, Mayat, feline, split from Ptah, the canine. This also has to do with the metaphysical slaying of Mayat, which is a theory I have particularly. She has been ripped away from her judge counterpart to help her judge the heart. Her counterpart in judgment is Anubis, the jackal-headed canine. So once again, we have the canine coming into the story. Anubis was the jackal-headed canine, netter of the underworld. Ma'at is actually married to Tahuti. Tahuti is thought. That is the thought in consort to balance. Now that Ma'at is gone, our thoughts are all off balance. With Ma'at slain, her 7 laws she rules with Tahuti of universal mentality, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender serve Asfet, which I believe is chaos. The dilemma that we conscious black people face is that when our minds awake and we become aware we are deficient in one or more laws. Ever seen a righteous black man or black woman with their white counterpart? You know, they got the locks and they're all natural. And they got their natural hair out. But they married. Well, their law of polarity is off. They're not attracted to their natural opposite. They're attracted to their unnatural opposite. Or come on now. You seen the cats who are supposed to be righteous? You know, they're supposed to know who they are as natural black people, and they're gay. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, I've seen
that stuff is crazy. That stuff is crazy. But that's the law of gender is off. So that is the metaphysical slang of Ma'at. And I'm going to say it right here. We are about the propagation of life, black people. We are natural. We are not about the negation of it. Homosexuality does not exist in the black community. It's acted out, but it does not truly exist in our nature because it is unnatural. It is a learned trait from our time too close to the unnatural state of the mind of the white man and white woman. I don't care who I offend with that statement, but it's true. And so with the other laws, because if you put an outlet up to an outlet, you ain't going to get nothing. You put a plug up to a plug, you ain't going to get nothing. You put a plug and an outlet together, what are you going to get? Electricity, life. And homosexuality is a negation of life because nothing comes out of it. I had a gigantic